You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't gonna be that fun. Hey everybody, it's Wednesday, it's Hump Day here on the Doug Collins Podcast. Glad you're with us today. Today I want to take a little bit quick turn. We're going to talk about some of the things that we're finding. And look, government so many times thinks that it can actually, it wants to influence how you buy things. And if they want to speed it along or slow it up, they'll pass things. One of the things I want to talk about is some of the latest statistics out of the EV, the electric car industry. You've heard so much about Rivian and Tesla and all these others. I want to talk about where it's actually at. We're going to speak about that for a few minutes. And just this idea of, the free market and are we really, how much free market do we really have? I'm agreeing with many that say our free market's basically not as existent as we think it is. But I want to talk to you about that. And after the break, we'll get into that. Also, after the break, we're going to do a few more of our I've Learned That segment. I got a few more things that I have learned. We're going to talk about as we get going again. Everything going on this week. Glad to have you as a part of the Doug Collins Podcast. Let's get to it. Hey, everybody, you know about Legacy Precious Metals. Legacy Precious Metals, you hear from them. We talk once a month. We talk about Legacy Precious Metals, talking about precious metals being part of your portfolio, how they're your navigator. Well, now they're not only navigating in a new way, they're actually giving you a new way to buy gold and silver. In fact, Legacy Precious Metals has developed a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in real gold and silver online. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped to your door. I'm more of a ship to my door kind of person. I enjoy having them with me, but they can do it either way, and you can now do it online. It gives you real access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time, anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar. This puts you in complete control of your money. This platform is free to sign up for. Just visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and is against a volatile stock market. A true diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but a different asset class. This platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Remember, do as I have done. Go to legacypminvestments.com and get started today. And now you've got a new tool to help you along in your investments. Hey folks, MyPillow is excited to bring to you their biggest bedding sale ever. For a limited time, you're going to get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, a set of pillowcases for only $9.98, and rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. $99.99, get a mattress pillow topper. Look, they come in all sizes. They got all kinds of stuff, blankets. They've got duvets. They've got quilts. They got comforters. They got body pillows. They got bolster pillows. They got all that big discounts. And also, they're extending their money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1, 2023, making them the perfect gift for your friends, your family, and for everyone you know. Folks, and just from a personal note here, I have the Giza Dream sheets. They're on my bed right now. I slept on them last night. Some of the best sheets that we and Lisa and I have ever owned. They are worth, at this price, they're a steal. My wife and I have bought bed sheets, linens at much higher cost. It's supposedly much higher quality. These from MyPillow are at the highest of quality, and at a price like this, you can't beat it. So go now to mypillow.com, use promo code Collins, COLLINS, or call 1-800-986-3994, and you'll get huge discounts on all the MyPillow bedding products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, and get all your shopping done while qualities last. And remember, put in that promo code Collins for these discounts. Okay, folks, we're back. Interesting note caught my eye. Sometimes you see stories, and just to put this in perspective, I have been long fascinated with the fact of, and let's just put this in a different way. I believe that the car industry and the gasoline engine diesel engines could have been changed a long time ago. I believe that we've had the technology around. I believe that this probably, okay, if you want to say my first conspiracy theory, is that the auto industry years ago, in looking, especially from back as far as the 60s and the 70s, were developing alternative engine technologies, whether from electric to propulsion to hydrogen. There's just a lot of different things out there, but could there be ways to actually propel cars in a better, safer way that may actually be cheaper to run? I think those are technologies that have been shot down over the years by the oil and gas industry, who rightfully so, if cars moved away from oil and gas, would suffer basically meltdowns. They would go to almost a no longer existence. It's always amazed me why the environmental groups only focus on non-sustainable energy sources like solar and wind and others that are not capable of funding the electrical needs that we have and energy needs that we have. And again, the pressure on auto industry has just sort of, again, depending on your perspective, has just not been there. But here's the interesting part. When government and Democrats over the past 20 years and 25 years have tried, especially under the Obama and now Biden administrations, have tried to jumpstart the electric sustainable energy growth. Let me take a word to describe it: with solar panels, wind, water, all this other, trying to move away from oil and gas and coal. Now, where this is taking its biggest look is in the auto industry under electric vehicles. Electric vehicles that have been, out there for the last years and starting to grow, and a lot of money, a lot of government subsidies, a lot of government financing for battery plants, for cars to be made electrical. Now, we're not. I will say this: I'm not going to spend a ton of time here today talking about the fact that electric vehicles also probably, on a whole, are more damaging to the planet than the oil car, the gas cars. But again, why let facts interfere with the narrative that if we all have electric cars, the world would be better? Why let the narrative of the fact that we've had cool, barely rising temperatures over the last 25 years as compared to the Al Gore, who said we'd almost be at extinction by now, and Greta Thunberg, who 5 years ago said we would be at extinction. But I mean, again, why let facts ruin a narrative? The interesting part here for the electric vehicles, and again, if we want to talk about that later, from the battery production, where they actually make these batteries, is desolate because of the environmental impact that it has. Let's just go on the narrative of electric vehicles taking over and dominating the market. Now, which is interesting because right now, electric vehicle sales account for 6.5% roughly of U.S. auto sales in this calendar year. They're looking to pass 1 million units for the first time ever in sales. But the problem is there's becoming growing, and again, another Axios story had this today earlier in the week that said that there's a growing disconnect between supply and demand. The very basics of free enterprise system, supply and demand. If you have a demand, the supply has to keep up, and if supply is over and demand's not there, you're going to have too much. Well, that's exactly what's happening right now. The demand is not keeping up with sales. And the electric vehicles in stock have swelled. And if you can go to any car lot, you'll see this 350%, 92,000 plus units, which is what equates to a 92-day supply. 54 days worth of supply these same dealers have of gas-powered vehicles. Here's an interesting one, though. And this is why I wanted to do this story. I think that and I'm as someone who has and owns a hybrid. Okay, and Lisa and I have owned this hybrid now for almost, going on at least almost 10 years. We love it. We like it. It's a Lincoln. It's a hybrid. It gets great gas mileage. We get about 35 to 38, depending on 40 if we're on the road. And it's great for my wife. She uses it to drive around doing her going to work, going back from work when she was working. Now she does it just to get around, and we like it, and we wanted it, and it was something that for our lifestyle fit. And the hybrid is a transition. This is not a plug-in hybrid, which I've got some friends who have plug-in hybrids, which especially if you're in a city environment in which you have access to a charging station is really good, because a plug-in hybrid, it uses the electrical batteries for a set number of miles, 60, 70 miles, whatever it may be, and then the gasoline engine kicks in. So if you're not traveling very far, you could conceivably, and one of my friends who has this can go almost a month on less than a tank of gas. That's, again, another alternative for people who are looking to save maybe on their fuel consumption. It's coming because people are wanting to try this out. It's not coming, simply because of, government saying you have to do this. Here's an interesting thought, though. And it's coming to hybrid vehicles. We said that there's just pure electric, 92-day supply out there on the market, 54 days for gas-fired. There's only a 44-day supply of hybrids industry-wide, according to Cox Automotive report, which tells us that people like the balance of moving into something that gives them the benefits of electric while also giving the comfort of having a traditional powered engine. This is where you see the market meeting the demand. And again, I think what you may find is that if you get the hybrid, even the plug-in hybrids, getting more and more capability, then later on, maybe those city and more urban type accounts customers would actually maybe move toward a fully electric vehicle in the years to come, as the more charging capabilities around, and you see the ability to go further and further. But again, I thought it was just an interesting perspective here that with all the push and with all of everything, Ford has already cut back on its electric vehicle production. They've already laid off people. We're seeing this in some of the others. Georgia, my home state, has invested heavily in this new output of battery-operated, battery facilities. In fact, there's a huge plant that I was there for the ribbon cutting on, just not 30 minutes from my house, that produces a lot of batteries. You've had other battery plants that have come in, getting a lot of federal dollars to do startups and construction costs here. Another one coming later into Georgia. So again, it's going to be interesting to see, how much this gets curtailed. I mean, because if you have a surplus that you don't have demand for, then you don't have a reason to continue to make them. So again, these are the kind of things that I like to point out, and little stories for you to just to think about. There's ways that we can look at it, but my question is electric the only way? Are there other power sources that the car companies have experimented with, but have not actually put forward that could be done maybe in a cheaper, safer fashion than the batteries that we're dealing with in electrical vehicles? All of this just lends us to the point that the market itself will find where the demand is. It always has, it always will. And the more we go away from free market principles, which we've done in this country through government regulation, government interference, I mean, it's just, again, very frustrating for those of us who believe that the capitalist system, the free market system, which has raised more people out of poverty around the world than anything else in the world. No other economic system has ever raised as many people out of poverty as the capitalistic system has. It's just frustrating. And, when we're picking for others instead of the consumer picking and the market reacting. And now, again, I will tell you, will there be losers in that kind of a marketplace? Yes, they will. They'll either change and adapt, or they'll go out of business. That doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean that they're bad ideas. It just they didn't have the idea at the right time. So again, today, I just wanted to start the show off just talking about that, in the sense that, it's interesting to see how the market is going to handle this. This has been the big push of the Bidens, the Obama administration going back. Get electric vehicles on the road. Get electric vehicles on the road. Not to mention that you don't have California, Texas, and others who could probably handle the grid. If you switch to even 25, 30, or 40% of the cars are electric, their own grids can't handle it, which, by the way, most of those grids are either nuclear or they're natural gas-fired plants. Again, I'm not even going to comment on the hypocrisy there, but okay, you get it. They can't handle it. So as we look at these as we go forward, just remember the market is there, and it provides a wonderful buffer for reality. You either have an idea that works or you have an idea that doesn't work. And this is the job of the businesses, it's the job of the inventors, it's the job of the others to actually find what actually works. So with that in mind, I've learned that. if you want to use an I've learned that over the time, the market will find its equilibrium. The market will find its balance, and the market will be the determinant for making people have good ideas, very wealthy, who people have bad ideas, who will have to readjust and sometimes lose it and start again. But that's the beauty of this system that we're going through. And it is a shame to me that we simply believe that government, which is we talked about in Monday's episode, has trouble even doing the basics of big legislation nowadays. And it's not because you don't have people who don't want to. They just don't have the votes and compromise to actually get things done. Are also one party in particular determining what we should have, drive, and what we should eat and consume, and does not understand when the market itself doesn't like that. So that would be I've learned that. But let's do a few more of the I've learned that. And this is a series. We've had Kevin Walling on. We're going to have some more folks who are going to help us with this as we go. And the one that we're going to have, first one off today, is I've learned that learning to forgive takes practice. This one is an important one. Learning to forgive takes practice. I've learned that. We don't inherently like to forgive. And we may say it. We may say, I forgive you, but then we hold on to it and we really don't forgive them, because then we put barriers into what is, how we forgive. There's contingency forgiveness, in which I'll forgive you if you're nice to me. I'll forgive you if you do something else. I'll forgive you if you pay me back. I'll forgive you if you, go do what I want you to do. That's called, to me, is contingency forgiveness. And contingency forgiveness is not true forgiveness. Forgiveness is being able to say, I forgive you, and I move on. Not hold it, not contingent it on anything, but saying, I forgive you and I move forward. I'm not going to worry about this anymore. That's hard for any of us. Okay, that's why it takes practice. Why this is I've learned that, learning to forgive takes practice, is you've got to practice and you've got to be able to be willing to forgive. But I'm going to also take this a step further. That practice has to start with yourself. And I'll speak from experience, and I know in my years of counseling and others that I've had to deal with and listening to people, the hardest part is not forgiving others. The hardest part is forgiving yourself. You do things. You say that wrong word. You send that wrong email. You tweet the wrong tweet. You get caught up in the moment and do something, or whatever it is. And others may forgive you. You may not have even hurt somebody, but it's that one of the things you lay down at night and you say, why did I do that? And you sort of let it dictate the next time you go in front of a group of people, or you go see a certain person. Did they realize what I did or didn't do? Forgiving yourself is so important. And this is not some, touchy feely kind of, self-help guru stuff here. This is just simply honest. Accepting yourself for who you are, knowing we make mistakes, knowing we do it, owning up to those mistakes, and then moving forward is the thing that I've learned the most, and the thing that I will continue to work on probably till the day that I die, is actually doing something that makes your mental health so much better, makes the world around you so much better. Because when you can forgive others and move on, but when you more importantly can forgive yourself and move on, then you have something to be. Now, the next one that I want to talk about is I've learned that maturity has more to do with what types of experience you've had and what you've learned from them, and less about how many birthdays you've celebrated. Now, does age matter? Yes. Does age and experience matter? Yes. But do you have to be old to have experience? No. Do you have to be old to be mature? No. In fact, I've seen some 50-year-olds that I would put a 12-year-old in charge of. Because just the life experiences, and what this actually tells us is these type of experiences you've had and what you've learned from them. And that's a key term right here. Many of you have a lot of experiences. I'm reminded of the story of the pastor who stayed at churches for 2 years. He went to about 5 churches. He had 10 years in the ministry. He went and applied for a job as a pastor at another church, and he said he listed 10 years of ministry experience on his resume. And there's a wise deacon who was on the board of scanning resumes and interviewing, asked the gentleman about his experience. And he said, well, I've had 10 years experience in ministry. And the deacon looked at him and he said, well, you've been in 5 churches in 2 years. It seems to me that you have 2 years experience in 5 different places. And what he was trying to say is why did you only stay 2 years at these places? And he went back and you could look and you see that they would go in, things would start off great, and then they would go downhill and he would look for another job. So really, in truth, the matter is he had 2 years of experience 5 times over because he wasn't learning anything from it. And so I wonder out there for how many of you today who've complained about your boss, complained about your families, complained about whatever you want to complain about, when you look at your own experience in life, realize that you've not learned from the experiences. You keep doing the same thing, the same way, and the same thing over and over again, and yet you expect different results. Remember that that classic definition of insanity is doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results. Maturity comes from not only having the experiences, but learning from them. And I think this is the key for all of us is, it's one thing to have an experience. It's one thing to have found, gone through a situation. The question is, did you learn anything from it? Did you learn how to keep your temper? Did you learn how to better express yourself? Did you learn how, as we just talked about a minute ago, to be more forgiving? Did you learn how to take time to use a new skill, find a new quiver, so to speak, another tool for your quiver to use as you go forward, learning how to navigate difficult customers, learning how to navigate difficult people, learning how to navigate a difficult family situation? Or did you just simply go through it, forget it, move on? That does not lead to maturity. Maturity comes when you go through something, you learn from that, and you move forward in it. Too many people just experience things and then go back, never learning anything, never taking the time to say, hey, why did this happen? Why did this not happen? Just writing it off to somebody else's problem, somebody else's mistake, somebody else that has did this. I blame somebody else, and that's just not what this should all be about. So as you grow, I'll say this for employers: don't always look at youth as a problem. Look at the experience and look at the answers that they give. Look at how they've handled their life experience. Some young people today have come up from very difficult backgrounds, and they would have a better shot. They have a better opportunity to overcome issues in your business and in your life and your families than you would ever imagine a 20-something to be able to do. Now, again, there's plenty of immature 20-year-olds as well, and 20 and 30-year-olds and all. But don't just look at age as a sign of wisdom and maturity. Look at the issue and say, is this person grown from their mistakes? Is this person grown in their area? Do you see them changing? Again, everybody sort of, we always like the funny analogy from Ron Swanson in Park and Rec when Ron says his goals for the next year is to stay exactly the same. Well, folks, that's not a reality for all of us. We're all going to change based on what goes on in the year ahead of us. I know always sitting for me on that December 31st into January 1st, I sort of always ask the question, what's this year going to be like? Maybe better than I was this past year. How can I grow this year? If you're not growing, you're inherently not changing. And if it goes by the old clinical definition of death is no change. In other words, no breathing, no movement, nothing changing. And I think what we have to look at here is how you process maturity comes from the experiences that we have and then how we dealt with those as we go forward. So again, I've seen 50-year-olds who had the maturity of a 20-year-old. I've seen 20-year-olds who had the maturity of a 60-year-old. And it all comes many times down to what did they do with the experiences that they had. So as you look at it, what's you're doing with your experiences? Are you taking those experiences and learning from them? Are you growing from them? Are you challenging yourself? Are you making yourself a better person? Are you looking at the world around us in politics and in life and taking it and exploring it, trying new things? If you're not, then your experience level is not growing. Your age is growing with birthdays, but your experience level is staying the same. Folks, that's it for another Wednesday edition of the Doug Collins Podcast. Hope you go out and make it a great one. Got you some information for you to use. Coming up in the weeks ahead, we're going to have Tom Homans is going to be coming back on, talk about immigration. We're going to have Matt Whitaker on, talking about the world around us. We're also going to have Coach Chan Gailey. We were less than, we're coming up on 75 days before football. Can't wait to have that happen. Also, we always have Friday Finest with James and I. Looking forward to seeing you again on the next Doug Collins podcast.